Is that how cowboys wear them? Over their ears? Over their earrings?
In terms of people wanting to get out and not doing so with a mask. Real men wear masks, we always say.
We know that it's not manly for men to cry.
I call him Crying Chuck because I saw him cry one time.
Or enjoy a sunset. But now, is it not manly for men to live?
I won't be doing it personally. It's a recommendation.
Remember when masks were cool? Ooh, it's a cowboy reference. We've made it very clear. It's very windy. How do cowboys keep this on? Do they have like a little rope around their little hat? Was that cool? How about this? How about that? I think people think I'm a real cowboy. This is my ranch. I'm at the Paramount Ranch, where Hollywood created its first Western ideal of masculinity to try and understand this whole mask versus manhood thing. While men are just as likely to contract the coronavirus as women are, they're more likely to die from it. A study by Global Health 50/50 found that in almost every country surveyed, more men had died from COVID than women. Given that they're more at risk, one would assume that men would be more likely to protect themselves, right? Wrong. In spring 2020, researchers from Middlesex University London and the Mathematical Science Research Institute at Berkeley conducted an online survey of over 2,500 people to measure how Americans feel about mask wearing. And men did say that they were less likely to wear face coverings than women, especially if mask wearing wasn't mandatory.
Put on the mask. It's not complicated.
And by the way, this male aversion to public health policy isn't new. Even during the 1918 Spanish flu epidemic, men were more likely to view masks, handkerchiefs, and other public health recommendations as feminine. A 2010 report published in the U.S. National Library of Medicine found that the public health villains blamed for careless coughing, spitting, and sneezing during the influenza pandemic were frequently represented, at least visually, as men behaving badly. Back then, men were considered weak links in hygienic discipline, and that's a quote. That same report also noted that the influenza pandemic offered a teaching moment in which masculine resistance to hygiene rules associated with mothers, school marms, and Sunday school teachers could be replaced with a more modern, manly form of public health steeped in discipline, patriotism, and personal responsibility. So 100 years later, why are men still spooked by masks? To get some answers, I sat down with Wade Davis. He's the NFL's first LGBTQ inclusion consultant, has written extensively about masculinity and sexism, and even did a TEDx talk entitled The Mask of Masculinity. Wade Davis.
Yes.
What is up with men in masks?
You know, from my perspective, honestly, if a man is disinterested in wearing a mask, he's looking externally for validation, and he hasn't defined his manhood, his masculinity internally.
So masculinity is so not defined that something as small as a mask threatens it.
The idea that wearing a mask is a form of emasculation, right, speaks to that I believe someone can take my masculinity from me.
I also connected over Zoom with my friend and fellow journalist, Phil Picardi. He's someone I love talking to about masculinity and how we define it. Why do you think that men are less likely to wear masks than women? And specifically, a lot of men will say it makes them look feminine. Why do you think that we associate those things together?
I'm so confused by how men define what looks feminine. Maybe what they're implying there is that wearing a mask makes them look weaker because they are admitting to the public that they are not impervious to a global pandemic. And somehow society ingrains in men that we need to be invincible in order to be valuable. We need to be almighty and all-powerful.
So it might be tempting to think that this is just the way that things are and that men are stuck. But Wade offered an effective solution to use Maskgate as a way to redefine masculinity for the better. Do you think that this Maskgate is an opportunity for this interrogation about masculinity in our society?
I think it's one.
So what would be the what and the how questions for masculinity that you would like to see?
So let's take the mask for example. What makes you think that wearing a mask makes you less of a man? What? Not why, but what, right? And then when they answer that question, say, how did you arrive to that conclusion? But you have to ask these questions with fidelity and with truth, and with a true level of curiosity and humility.
So how do you begin the process of redefining masculinity? To you, what does being a man mean?
I think that the purest model of how we can be a man is how we look at how to make society a better place. So we can take the same idea of like men being tasked with providing, or men being tasked even with defending their families, right? If we can take those ideas, how do we talk to men to apply those ideas in a healthier context?
There's no doubt that wearing masks protects you and gets you to be protected. So it's people protecting each other.
Wade had another hack, framing the mask as a choice. That way, it's not dominating, it's actually empowering.
If we can move it away from this individualistic identity, or this you're being forced to do something, to frame it in a way where men feel as if they have choice in it. When it comes to men and the mask, just say, hey, like, are you interested in protecting yourself and your family? Is wearing a mask counter, or is it additive to actually doing that, right? Your average man, right, with any level of humanity, would actually see it through a different lens.
I wish that more men would look at it as a service about how we care for others in our community. And I think that that is the most masculine thing that you can do. If men really do pride themselves on being providers, then how best can you provide for your loved ones by protecting yourself from a potentially deadly virus that could impact you and your loved ones and your neighbors?
Phil, let's put it out there. What's great about masks? Accessorizing? Am I right?
Yes, it's an awesome opportunity to showcase even more of your personal style. Congratulations. Welcome to the world of fashion. The sky is the limit, gentlemen.
Yes.
Enjoy the options that life provides to you.
So instead of accepting a definition of masculinity that boxes men into dangerous or self-defeating behaviors, maybe COVID will give men permission to come up with their own definition of what being a man looks like to them. Oh, and speaking of masculine models, after months of refusing to wear a mask, in early July, President Trump finally changed his mind. Well, at least while he was talking to wounded veterans. He then tweeted that masks are patriotic. And at least one congressional candidate thinks the president looks good in a mask. So maybe other men will reconsider as well, right, guys?
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.